Hi lovies, welcome back to my channel. So welcome to the first monthly magic of this year. Happy January, happy new year. I'm so excited to be doing a fresh new year with fresh witchy planning, and I hope that you guys will enjoy it. So let's get right into it. I do have my notes here. It's a lot of notes, you guys. This will be posted on the channel's grimoire, and how you can unlock that is becoming a channel member. And I always forget, and it's going to be one of my goals. I have so many goals for this channel this year, but one of my goals is going to be to remember to thank all of the channel members, and I will leave them right here. Thank you guys so much. It really means a lot to me. I used to have a full moon level, and I kind of want to bring that back. I was doing like little curated boxes for my full moon members, but it was getting a little much. So I have to think of something fun to do for that tier. But I have crescent, I believe I have gibbous, and then full moon is probably going to make a return. But any of those tiers will unlock the channel grimoire. Still kind of like in its infancy phase, but there's a lot of good information there. I'm going to be putting my recipes that I do this year. You have information like this. You guys can put information if you are a channel member and share your spells. What was the result? I really want to grow the grimoire, so if you guys are interested, below in the description there's a link on how you can become channel members. But thank you to all of the members who really stuck by me while I was on maternity break. So thank you. All right, so lots to get done. I keep forgetting I have a new camera. I have a new mic. We're really getting fancy here. I am recording on my my new camera, and I have this fancy mic, and I hope that it sounds better. So, but I have to get a new arm. It's kind of away from me, so I have to not be so animated on where I speak. So I might be all over the place, but lots to go over this month. There's so much happening. It's such good vibes. I feel like it's just an all-around good month. So a couple new things before we start. Sorry. So I know that these can get a little bit longer, and I'm going to really try to keep them really short because my editing time, y'all, it's like I have no time to edit. So, and it's already a long time to do those things. So I'm going to leave. They have a new thing on YouTube where if you skim the play button, you can fast forward and it can show you all of the chapters. So I will break up my video as I normally do through all the chapters. I will also, somewhere along here, you'll probably already see that there will be either a countdown or something to show that chapter, where it is and how it's coming to an end. So if you're watching, you can see how much of that is left. That way, if you can stop and come back to it, you can see, maybe you don't have time for a 10-minute segment about other things. So monthly magic, it's always going to be broken out in these ways. So I have dates. So the first chapter of this video is going to be dates. Then I always have a god or goddess that I pay tribute to for the month, and I kind of go over their lore and ways that you can work with them. So I give you a very brief synopsis of I keep forgetting. I always go through a brief synopsis of that goddess, and I encourage and inspire you to work with that goddess for the month and see how they jive with your matron goddess. You actually might, through working with the month's goddess, really form a connection and may end up switching, which is totally fine. You can switch your patron gods and goddesses. And so we always do dates, gods, goddesses. That's the second chapter. Third chapter is always crystals, always going to be about crystals. Then the next is spell work. I give you ideas for spell work, activities, herbs, and colors. That's the last thing. So between all of those, you can get a really good idea of how to witchy plan your January. So let's get started. All right, if you're new here, the months always have a keyword, and it's always interesting that when I start doing my research and start planning out all of the things, again, that you will find on the grimoire, it starts to all kind of come together. And that's the beauty of witchy planning. When you want to really dedicate your days and look at astrology and look at other certain things, if you start really feeling it in your heart how you want to progress during the month, it really just aligns, right? So as I was doing the research, the keyword for this month is without a doubt transformation. Transformation is so important right now, and we'll get into that. Especially with Imbolc coming up, it's all about that transformation. If you go on my shop, all of my Imbolc stuff is really called Fire and Rebirth, because you have the fire from the sun that was just released during Yule, and everything is getting warmed up, and you have that fire and that rebirth of energy, that rebranding. Like, this is why I chose to change from Lipstick Legion Craft to Forest and Fawn, because right now I feel that transformation so bad and so overwhelmingly that it's just without a doubt January's keyword is transformation. So the second, so that's today. I'm posting, I usually post this a little bit earlier, but because of the holiday. So the second is a really good to kind of cleanse your home with lavender. If you want to add sage in there, you can, but I kind of want to just leave sage out for a little bit and work with highlight other herbs that you can burn that do such a good job for transformation. It's lavender is really good to push out old energies and bring in new energies, that loving, that inspiring, that transformation vibe. So it's really good to freshen up your space for new intentions. So today is a great day, and throughout the rest of the week, to just take a minute and cleanse your home with a lavender stick. If you don't have a lavender stick, you can email me. My email will be below. I sell them in my shop. And if you want to know how to cleanse your home, I'm going to try to see if I can put a card up here, or I'll leave it below. I give you step by step on how to cleanse your home with a cleansing wand. So that's today. The 6th is full moon in Cancer. Is a full wolf moon in Cancer. Oh my God, what a good moon. Like, what a great full moon to start the year with. First of all, the Cancer full moon in itself is like such a motivational, such a forgiving, such like, it's not even a spiritual thing about lunar energies. It's a scientific process. It's the way that tides come in and out. It's the way that we feel. It's just, it's proven that full moons have such an impact in our lives. And the fact that it's being Cancer, it's such a beautiful time for like nurturing, loving, like all of the above Cancer emotion energies. It's a beautiful, beautiful moon to start off the new year, just a little bit with more empathy, you know? So take advantage of waking up and feeling trusting, passionate, sensitive, all of those energies, beautiful. If you feel super motivated and intense feeling to be dedicated to something, live that feeling. That's going to be like that wolf moon with the Cancer. You're just going to be so inspired, I hope, by the 6th. So a little bit about the wolf moon. The wolf moon gets its name because right now it's about mating season. So Native Americans used to hear wolves howling all the time because they were calling each other. So when the wolves were out and you were hearing that call, that mating call, it was about this time of year that they would have that. And then also, like dating back, like old pagans, they used to literally howl at the moon, and that's really good to get your frustrations out for the new year. It's really good to set new intentions if you want. I know a bunch of people who howl at the moon, and it's like, it's really cute and it's funny, but it can hold a lot of power. So if people like to do that, definitely don't shy away from trying it yourself. Even if you feel silly, just go out there, give it a shot. You will feel awesome. So really, that's an amazing way to honor also the wolf moon, full moon in January. And the moon is also in the 12th house. So the house is of your dreams, your fears, your karma, your limits. Like push all of those this month, and spiritually you're going to be protected by those feelings of wanting to kind of push through those boundaries. So on the 7th, we have your waning moon. So really the waning is time to transform yourself. If you're doing a journal, it's really good to ask yourself these really good questions. How can I be better? How can I be a more clear? How can I be a more dedicated person, more creative? Is there anything creatively that you can push? Is there anything that you want to change? This is the time to do that. Again, you have that Cancer energy supporting you, that loving energy. It's really good to just push your limits this month. So think upon this during the waning period. So this is a really good note that I have here. During this time of the month in the beginning of January, it's really during the waning period, it's not time to really go full in on a new project. It's not the best time to just completely change. I did that. That wasn't the best time to do it, but I wanted to do it for the new year. But if you have new ideas and projects that you want to do, right now is a time to get the inspiration and do the research, do the reading, do the work, do all the legwork to make your passions start to move. It's not a good time to just go all in without really properly researching. So I know that some of you may have really cool projects in mind and you want to just get them out into the world and kind of show what you want to do, but anywhere from the 7th on, the waning period of the moon, you definitely want to sit back. After the new year, we're still kind of nesting. We're still kind of, dialing it back after Yule. Take that time of rest to do research. The 8th, it's Leo energy fueled day. So put passions into life. Like, that's what I'm saying. If you have new ideas, put them down. If you, are aspiring to do something, use that 8th energy right after the waning to see, like, okay, what are my passions? Let's try to create lists. Let's try to make a chart. Let's try to do pros and cons to things that you want to get done. Those are types of things that Leos are just so good for. So use that Leo energy on the 8th. It's a Leo filled day to really enjoy some of the passions that you love. So right after that is the 9th. So the 9th is the feast of Janus. So Janus is really an awesome pagan god, very old. He was even seen when the gates were being built, for the heavens. And he's also known for having two-sided heads, not like this way, left and right, but like more front to back. So Janus is a very polarizing god, and just New Year's in general, because Janus, along with a lot of other Greek mythologies and Egyptian mythologies and things like that, New Year's is really a pagan tradition. So when I'm looking up New Year's and looking up Janus, there's a lot of very interesting channels that had a lot to say about celebrating New Year's. And so Janus, with the two heads, he was really looking at the gates of forward, so seeing the new possibilities, and then looking back at the people who were trying to get in the gates. And he had the right to let people in and out of heavenly gates, which is really fascinating. And also he can see the past and he can see the future. So a really awesome type of archetype if you want to look up Janus. And if you wanted to celebrate Janus more, the 9th would be an awesome day to do the Feast of Janus. On the 13th is a good day to fall in love. So it's Friday the 13th, I believe. So visit places that fuel passion, that fuel compassion. Try a new recipe. Take time to create something. Create a new playlist. Like all of those things. Like, it's a good day to fall in love. I really want to take a trip with Jesse to where they filmed Friday the 13th. I'm a huge Jason Voorhees fan. I actually paint masks for Jason fans, or for like the actual hockey masks. So he proposed to me at the location where they filmed Friday the 13th, which is not very far from my house. So on that day, the 13th, like falling in love, I want to revisit places that really are just such a good memory in my life. And I really suggest that you guys can do the same. Well, the 14th is last quarter. So remember, Mars is in retrograde, the beginning of the month, that drives ambitions and passions. However, as I mentioned, this is a time for research. So again, I really, and I always say this to people when they talk about like retrogrades. Everyone is so shook about retrogrades. It's not terrible. Like, it's not a bad thing. You just have to really think outside the box. So, if Mercury, the planet of communication and things like that, are in retrograde, what does that mean? Like, instead of just hiding and doing nothing and saying, I can't do this because Mercury is in retrograde, think about what's really happening. So, when a planet is in retrograde, it's going backwards. So it's almost like a reversal of a tarot card. You want to not do as much communication. So if Mercury is in retrograde, for me, for example, I would maybe post less on Instagram, maybe do more research on my next YouTube, maybe do some planning. It's less physical communication and more introspective work, which we always need. So when Mercury is in retrograde, I really actually enjoy that time because I take the time to do the stuff that will quiet the mind and research more and get my thoughts and my feelings in check before I release my words into existence. And that's what you should be doing. So Mars is in retrograde. So if that drives ambition and passions, what are we doing? We're not actively doing something. We are stepping back and doing the research of our passion. So that way, when Mars goes direct, we are ready to go aggressively. It makes sense, right? Like, leave a comment below. What do you guys do anything differently during the retrogrades? I would love to hear it. I would love to kind of have that conversation down below so we can kind of learn from each other, because there's no reason why any planet in retrograde should be a scary time for you. It's just thinking about it in a different type of way. I keep forgetting that the mic is here. So the 18th, Sagittarius fueled day, just like how the 8th, it was a Leo fueled day. Sag fueled day, write a letter to a deity. Mercury is in direct. Now it's a good time. Now it's a good time to now it's like a little bit later in the month. So get those thoughts out. If you're planning to do something, do a little sneak peek. Like, get communications out there because Mercury is in direct, and that's a good time to kind of put those into order. All right, moving along. So the 21st is a new moon in Aquarius. So the new moon is in Aquarius is all about continuation and transformation, which we're talking about. So how do you want to evolve? If you're doing new moon journaling, how do you want to evolve? What does transformation look like to you? How do you want to be perceived? Interesting. How do you want to be perceived? That is usually a rising attribute. What's your rising sign? How do you want people to perceive you when you walk into a room? That's your rising sign. How do you want the world to perceive you? Think about that during the new moon. It's a really good time, especially in Aquarius. How you present yourself. Same thing. How do I present myself? When I look so my rising is a Scorp. So, when I walk into the room, I don't want people to be intimidated by me. I want people to really think that they can come to me and tell me things and, allow me to help them. And I will be their listening ear. Like, those are all rising, amazing Scorp properties. This is what I want to put out to the world. When I walk into the room full of strangers, I want them to think that of me. What about you? Think about that for the new moon. How you feel, how you look. So working with Carriagewin makes this full moon all about you. And we'll get to Carriagewin in a minute. That's the goddess that I chose for January. So the 22nd, we are now at the 22nd, coming towards the end of the month. So it's the waxing. And I think it's a Chinese New Year, which is the rabbit, year of the water rabbit, I believe. I'm not too great about my Chinese New Year's, but I do know it's a rabbit. Super cute. So off the heels of that, The 28th is the first quarter in Taurus, which is great. So get organized, thoughts and stuff like that. It's really, if you see a pattern here, it's really about less doing. Like the power is in less and not more. The power is in deliberate thoughts and logical thinking and not doing, because we are just embracing a fresh turn of the year. Like we have all of the year to do a lot of things that we love to do. It's a good time to just kind of dial it back. And I see that, like, it's here. The proof is in the pudding. I see that we need to get more organized in our thoughts and physically. So that's good for the 28th, when the first quarter is in Taurus. So we're going into the new quarter. And then, of course, the 30th, we got to prep for Imbolc. We're going to do an altar. I have a lot of Imbolc ideas coming for this month, so I'm going to try to push them out, especially my Imbolc altar. That's going to be nice. Create a Candlemas altar. And then this month, I think it'll be the 20th, I want to say. We're going to do our Witches Market. I already have a few people all the way up to March. And then I have some spring ones, which I might do at Lunar Fair. But the first, business owner, witchy shop business owner, that's going to be for January. It's amazing. So I can't wait to share some of that information with you. Again, if you are a small business owner and you sell a lot of witchy wares, whether they're handmade, hand curated, things like that, please email me below, so that way we can do a live sale and you can kind of showcase your stuff. People can ask questions, and you get to talk about how you got started and all that fun stuff. Like, small business is so important to me, and I want to share this platform, if I can, for anyone who's watching, to support one another in small business. It's really important to me. So if you want to be featured in I think it's a 1 hour selling session, just maybe 8 items each, make sure to email me and then we can start that. And you'll start seeing promos on my community tab, so watch out for that. And you can purchase right on here on YouTube. So the goddess, Caradwyn, really awesome. Like, I'm just, my matron deity is Rhiannon. So I just love Welsh goddesses. They're awesome. Like, they're just so nice. My pantheon for my coven is Egyptian. So either one of those I'm really like drawn to. But Caradwyn is a goddess of rebirth, of transformation, of inspiration. So once I was called to work with her for this month, everything fell into place. So it's almost like, if you want a witchy plan, I work with the goddess first, and then the dates, and everything just magically, honestly, just falls into place. So she's a shape-shifting lunar deity. She's a transformation. She's really known pretty much as the White Witch, and really as a healer. She has this beautiful magic cauldron that she works with, and she's able to heal people through the concoctions that she makes. So she's the keeper of the cauldron of knowledge, which I find so awesome. Like, any like deity who works with cauldrons is just like right on. I'm just totally there. So there's a lot of ways of how she got her name, but what I found interesting is that it could be Seru, which is, I believe, a Celtic name for cauldron, and then Wen is woman. So we put them together, you get cauldron woman, which is kind of cool. So she was a little bit about her. So she was married to Tegid Foal, and she had a daughter, Creary, and then she had a son, a Fogdu. I know them reading them, but then when I try to like say it, I just butcher them. So she had these 2 twins, and her daughter and her son. And her son, her daughter was just beautiful, just a pure beauty right from birth. But her son, not so much. So for the love of him, she wanted to create this magic potion, or really like tincture of knowledge. So she created this recipe, and it had to be stirred for a year. And only the first 3 drops that were ingested was to give the receiver just incredible knowledge. And then the rest would be poisonous. So she enlisted a young man called Gwaine, and he was to just stir for a year, and then when it was ready, he would let Carriagewin know. So on the last day of stirring and stirring, a couple drops got on his thumb, I believed, and like it's just a real just instinction just to put his thumb in his mouth because of the burn, and he was gifted this knowledge also of transformation. He was gifted pretty much the powers of Caradwin. So she was not happy about it. She was just not happy about it. So he fled. So Gawain fled, and he decided to flee. So not only did it make him wise, but it also gave him the powers of transformation, like we just mentioned. So his first transformation was into a hare, and then, however, Caradwin turned into a hound, and it's thought to say that she turned into a greyhound, which is interesting. So she found him as a hound when he was transformed into a hare and caught him. So he got away, and his second transformation was a fish, and then Caradwin became an otter. So it's like one of those tales that, like, you can't outsmart me. If you're going to do wrong, even though I think it was probably a mistake, but if you're going to do wrong, goddesses, like, especially Welsh, like Rhiannon, Caradwin, like, they are very giving and very loving and are healers, but don't mess with them. Just don't mess with them. Also, if you work with them, you have to do a lot of work. They're not just going to give it to you on a silver platter. And I don't think any gods or goddesses should do that. A lot of the work, if you want it bad, should come through you, and they are there to support and guide you. But Caradwin, Rhiannon, Welsh goddesses do not play. They, like, if you mess with them, they are like going to ruin your life. So, she found him. His third attempt was into a bird, and then Caradwin turned into a hawk and found him. And then lastly, he turned into a grain of corn, which she was easily able to locate him as a hawk. So she ingested him, and she then became pregnant. So she knew that it was the son, like Gawain was her son. So she vowed that she's like, once this baby pops out, like, it's done. I'm just going to get rid of it. And when he was actually born, she didn't have the heart to do it, but she threw him in an ocean in like a leather satchel. It's like, okay, like, you didn't want to kill him, but then you just threw him in the ocean and fended for himself. So luckily he wasn't killed. He was found, and then he later became like the great storyteller Taliesin. So it's just wild. So really, working with like those animals, working with transformation, working with, just the fact of like justice, like all of those things, like really powerful stuff that you can work with Caradwin. So she rules over the moon, and her color is white. Interesting, because Imbolc color is white and blue. So the next chapter is crystals. So the crystal that I have for this month is Rainbow Moonstone. So it's great for embracing the cycles of your creativity. Work with it during full moons. It will help you align with the moon and motivation and the inspiration that it brings, especially when your moonstone has the rainbows have a lot of speckles and blue in it. I'll show you my moonstone in a little bit. It helps for energy to start new and to commit to new projects. So it's like a committed type of stone. It's a traveler stone, so you can carry for protection and finding new passions. The blue sheen helps with intuition and opens yourself up for new thoughts, which is great. And then self-care and healing. So really awesome crystal for January. All right, so the spell work. I'm going to kind of go through that here, but I'm going to be using monthly magic really to spearhead a lot of the videos that you'll see this month too. So a spell work that you can do is a ritual wash. So I'm not going to explain it too much here because I'm going to delve a little bit deeper to show you how you can do a ritual wash, and with your children. That'll be a beautiful thing to do, and to how to incorporate them into your daily practice. So that'll be probably in the next couple Witchy Mamas videos. It'll be out this month, so look out for that. It's how to perform a ritual wash. You can do tasseomancy. Use snow water if you have snow that's like maybe melted, or like draw from riverbanks because it's been frozen and then kind of thawed out from the sun. Like anything like that will be perfect to use as water for your tasseomancy reading. And you can announce your intentions during sunrise. It's always a beautiful way to do that. And then create a cauldron of knowledge. So we'll do that on the next Spellcraft Sunday too. So look out for Ritual Washes and Spellcraft Sunday to create a cauldron of knowledge for you, which is kind of cool because it's kind of like an offering and a tradition of Caradwen. So activities, again, you can cleanse your crystals, tools, and home with Lavender Cleansing Wand. January is a great time to do cleansing for the lighter half of the year. And then create an herbal medicinal syrup. And let's do that here. Okay, so let's start with January's activity. This one is a real fun one, and I think it just has so many awesome properties. So for this month, the herb of the month is thyme, and thyme is so good for throat, for cough, and just all around congestion around this time of year. So here I'm taking my moonstone that we just spoke about, and we're going to infuse our thyme with that awesome crystal energy. We are also working with maple this month as it has a connection with the moon and it helps with traveling and intuition, just like the rainbow moonstone is. So we are going to infuse water first. This recipe for medicinal syrup, from medicinal herbal maple syrup, is going to need 4 cups of water. And you're going to add your thyme in, heat it, and then decrease it to 2 cups. So you always want to have half of how many cups that you're putting in for water. If you don't have the measurements on your pot like I've shown you, this is a really easy trick. You can put a wooden spoon and tie where your 4 cups are. So that way, when you go back for your half, you can see where the half is in comparison to your tie. Once your water has been strained, and I use this actual coffee filter, it works great with small herbs. So once you get to half of your mixture, so again, if you poured 4 cups of water, you want to boil it down to 2. Once you have that, all you're going to do is strain it. So here, once I strain it and really push down on the herbs, I should have a good 2 cups of water, or that infused herbal water. Next, you're going to want to prepare your maple syrup. And the maple is always 2 to 1, meaning 2 parts of water to 1 part of maple syrup. You could add 1 to 1, but then it will be really sweet. And if you prefer that, then that's fine. So I'm pouring my water and my maple syrup. Keep in mind when you refrigerate it, it does get nice and thick. And here is the final result. You can take 2 teaspoons while you're going through a cold, and it should whip that right into shape. So I hope you love the syrup. I love working with that medicinal book, and I actually wanted to work with thyme, and when I went into the thyme page, it said to make syrup, and I'm like, this is great. Probably a bunch of people do this. I'm not the only one who does that. I really want to try, especially with my son, to do as many herbal remedies as possible. I'm not knocking out regular drugs or over-the-counter prescriptions or anything my pediatrician has to say, but I definitely for entire family want to create more herbal remedies, since I really just have an apothecary. It's like in the tip of my fingers, I can just create these things. So I really hope it's super easy. I hope that you can create your medicinal syrup and let me know if it helps you during this cold and flu season. If I haven't mentioned it, or if I forgot to mention it, you can reuse the herbs, the dried herbs, to make like dress candles or use for burning and cleansing. So definitely no waste in this kind of project. And then the colors, of course, are white for milk and snow, which is going to be following Imulk, silver and blue. So, and that's it. So I really hope that you enjoy this month's witchy planning. We do this, I try to do this before the first of every month, so you have a full year of planning with me, and I hope that you enjoy it. If you try anything, or have any, further posts that you would like me to see, make sure you at me at Forest and Fawn here on YouTube and Instagram. I'll leave it here. It's Forest X Fawn over at Instagram, and I would love to see what you guys create. And until next month, bye guys.